right, so we get asked all the time, why did we start this podcast? What was the point? And admittedly, I think it was a really simple one. It was, hey, there are a bunch of conversations that are happening throughout the ecosystem. They're most of the time being relegated to, sitting in a cocktail bar or on the sort of margins of an industry event. And folks that are in the community, that are working to come into the community, that are trying to sort of grow in the community, are often not afforded the opportunity to see those just simple, sort of direct, transparent conversations. So what we wanted to do was kind of demystify the defense tech industry, and for lack of a better way to explain it, kind of democratize access to some authentic conversations. We'll go through a little highlight reel here of some of the episodes from season 1 that I think were really awesome, why we enjoyed it. And then do a little teaser on what we're excited about for season 2. So thanks for being part of the journey, and let's fucking go. All right, so you'll see some. I think a little bit of this is us taking some rear-looking creative license that we had a plan that aligned functionally, but I'll tell everybody we planned this to align functionally. One of the things we clearly got into a whole bunch is what is defense tech? What's it trying to solve? Kind of what's working in the community really, really like. Like the first episode that comes to mind is TJ Rao and, making the world a safer place. I think it was episode 12. I think the reason this one was great is it just removed all of the glitter and all of the veneer and talked about the challenges, like the actual challenges in the trenches of delivering software to a national security end user, the sales process, the compliance process, the funding process, all of that. So if you're thinking about, hey, what is it like to go get into sales and defense tech? Hey, I think I want to learn more. I want to meet people, all of that. Go take a look at this one. This will definitely light the path for you. Next one we sort of think about kind of on the same guys on the what is defense tech? How can I better understand it? Enrique Odi, one of the early ones, episode 6, defining and refining sort of tech innovation. I think this one was important because more often than not, the word innovation is thrown around, and it's almost like a safety blanket. If I say I'm innovating, I don't have to actually talk about what I'm doing. I don't have to make it real. I don't have to ever deliver. Enrique had an unbelievable career in the government. So he's been one of those customers that a lot of folks are chasing. And now outside as our CTO, he's building and delivering that tech. And it gets at the reality and the practical application of some of the tenets of innovation and design that we talk about, but how to make it real, as evidenced by, a shipped product in production. All right. So as we continue to sort of talk about, what is defense tech? How do you play in it? How do you fit? Like the last episode I want to draw everyone to was recent episode 20, Mike from Shift 5 with sort of why data is the new oil. I think it's really important because you'll see a lot of folks across the community talking about the importance of AI, the promise of AI, and everyone's all excited. What you don't see a lot of folks talking about is data structure and clarity and access and portability and all of the more traditionally like non-sexy kind of aspects. But in the same way that building a car or building a plane or building whatever high-tech machine is cool, like it doesn't work without oil or gasoline and all of that. Same concept. And Mike and the team at Shift 5 do a fantastic job of really just removing a bunch of the confusion around that. So you're thinking about AI, you're looking at sensor analytics, data analytics, take a look there and check out Shift 5 as well. So the next functional sort of breakout we went into is what does working in defense tech and sort of the startup realm look like? So we got a healthy mix of some investors, some operators, just to provide a little bit of insight into what's it really like from a couple different vantage points. I want to start with our sort of inaugural episode. Sam Gray, call sign Chubbs from Silicon Valley Defense Group. I think that was interesting because Sam brings a background where he's come up through the Navy, helped stand up Naval X, early days of DIU, and a lot of those government innovation shops, and then also spends his time on the outside working with private capital allocators while being the executive director at Silicon Valley Defense Group. So it's unique positioning to see across if you were to Clausewitzian it, almost like a holy trinity of the private tech, the gov, and sort of that nonprofit slash capital allocator in the middle. Really interesting lens that Sam is able to see the world through. So highly recommend taking a look at that. And then a shameless plug for the Silicon Valley Defense Group that's out there doing great work, trying to convene a bunch of these different groups across the community so that meaningful conversations and relationships can happen so we can drive change in the defense industry. Next one we look at on really understanding defense tech was our second episode with James Cross. James really needs no introduction, has had an amazing career at Franklin Templeton, has been an aerospace and defense analyst for decades, and has seen a bunch of the change and the hype over the years. I think is really able to articulate how to think about fads and tech priorities and just the veracity of certain business models in the industry. So if you're looking for a true sort of market perspective, definitely take a look at James's episode, and also take a look at some of the work they're doing at Franklin Templeton as well. It's pretty tremendous in the Black Horse Fund. All right, so continuing on kind of the what's it like in defense tech, went a little bit different direction with episode 4 and brought in Dylan Mullins and Sarah Hess. Talk a little bit about the sort of human capital side of it, the career journey side of it. Of, hey, what's it like? For Dylan as sort of a new grad coming in, for Sarah as kind of a mid-career professional, what is it like actually working in defense tech, kind of figuring it out? Everything from the crazy amount of acronyms to the culture of folks who've served together before and how sometimes you feel like an outsider and trying to fit in. So if you're early in the career, if you're thinking about sort of what does career path kind of look like, definitely check that out. And then feel free to find Sarah and Dylan on LinkedIn. They're great advocates and great sort of mentors for folks that are coming into the community as well. All right, so we go from early career to a little bit later career here. Episode 13, aptly titled The Reality of Working for a Startup. Chip Colbert, longtime friend, longtime confidant, consigliere. I think we do the same for each other. I think Chip, much like TJ did, I think Chip has a perspective that just removes a lot of the glitter. Super passionate about national security, super passionate about tech, but also a realist that hey, it's hard. And there are days that are going to suck and you're going to get way more no's than yeses. You're going to lose way more deals than you win. And it's almost like being a quarterback where, the best quarterbacks, we always talk about the ability to forget the last throw, right? It's always about the next throw. You just delete the tape of the last throw. So if you're looking sales at scale, policy, partnerships, and really just understanding what is it like in the trenches at a bunch of different defense tech companies, take a look at this episode with Chip. And then going to round out here, episode 15, I think one of my favorite because it went in a really different direction than I think I thought it was going to go with Alexis Spinell. Alexis has had an unbelievable career, right? USAID Chief Innovation Officer, the time at Google, going back into government to do great things. But the conversation really moved into building teams and sort of the interpersonal and the humans behind a lot of sort of the corporate landscape and the tech, and just some really, really insightful philosophies on how to deal with people, on how to engage, grow, mentor, sort of retain really top tier talent. So if you're thinking about not just what is it like working in a defense tech company, but how do I think about sort of the human element on building and scaling and maintaining great teams, definitely check out what Alexis had to share here.